From Royal Communications Incorporated, good evening and welcome to King's News Broom 45-minute news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Today is Wednesday, February 4, 2026, and I'm Shemon Dia presenting. In the headlines, former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf questions government of Liberia over St. Paul to Bow Waterside Road project. Request clearer information from Ministry of Public Works on contractual agreement. Tap Court of Monserrado County orders Liberia Electricity Corporation to pay US $415,000 to Airtel Network in contractability. And also in the news tonight, the Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustin Gaffron lied about reversing harmonization. Former Finance Minister Samuel Toy debunks Gaffron assertions, says LCC, GAC, and others' salaries were never harmonized. Away from home, dozens of people have been killed by unidentified gunmen in a ferocious attack on two villages in Nigeria's western state of Kwara. Local lawmaker has told the BBC South Africa's Democratic Alliance leader John C. Hussein has said he would not seek re-election as the party's leader in April, a move that may threaten the stability of the coalition government. These plus the news bulletin, voices of those making the news of our package. We'll take a short break to be right back. Welcome back. At this juncture, we join Stephen Compton with the news bulletin.
Former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has raised serious concerns about the Boakai-Kun-led government restarting several roads projects she said got long stated ago. Speaking on ELBC, the former president said about several roads projects, including the Lofa bombing and the overhead passes, were long started but were never taken forward. Former President Sirleaf also requested the Minister of Public Works to provide clearer information regarding the agreement for the St. Paul to Bow Waterside corridor. She further noted that clay to Swimaka project has been omitted by the government despite its inclusion during her administration. In December of 2025, the Liberian Senate announced its concurrence with the House of Representatives on a 25-year road concession agreement between the government of Liberia and Pathifort AL Association Incorporated, affecting roads corridors in western and northern regions of Liberia, in line with the public-private partnership. According to the government, roads to be constructed on this administration include the St. Paul Bridge to Clay, 4 lanes Clay to Bow Waterside, 4 lanes Clay to Tottenberg, 2 lanes Mandinan to Robertsport, 2 lanes Vorgeman to Mendicoman, 2 lanes. In another development, former President Sirleaf has expressed admiration for the City of Hope operated under the Clark Hope Foundation. She noted during recent visit at the facility, which included viewing of classroom lessons, she was touched by the performance of the students. Former President Sirleaf also disclosed of maintaining open lines of communication with President Joseph Boakai and former President George Weah, pointing the importance of keeping communication with other leaders, speaking on what many believe to be a soured relationship between former President Weah and President Joseph Boakai. Former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf noted that maybe one of these days, when President Joseph Boakai himself is ready, he will call the two former presidents and say what he thinks. According to her, she believes constructive dialogue among Liberia's top leaders should be initiated by the president when he deems it appropriate. The debt code Monserrato County has ordered the Liberia Electricity Corporation to pay more than 415,000 to a Swedish engineering firm after acknowledging liability in a dispute dating back early a decade. The court ruled that LEC owed Airtel Network a total of 415,000, comprising a personal judgment of 364 222,000 additional charges for interest, legal fees, and court costs. The amount includes $21,859 in interest calculated at 6% per year, 7,286.44 in Antonin's fee, and 21,855 is court cost, according to the court's record. The payment order followed a hearing held Tuesday, February 3, followed legal argument between both legal team of the two institutions. The court documents show that LEC had proposed making a 25% down payment, about 103,000 towards settling the debt. However, the approval was not formally presented to the court through a motion for a structured payment plan. As a result, lawyers of Airtel Network sought to a payment order for the full amount, which the court has granted. Former Finance Minister Samuel Twe has sharply debunked Finance Minister Augustin Gafuan's claim of the government reversing harmonization for key government institutions. Twe, in a detailed policy rebuttal, pointed out that key integrity institutions, specifically the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission and the General Auditing Commission salaries, were never harmonized in the sense implied by Minister Gafuan. According to him, these institutions already operated on a single pay system prior to the harmonization reform, describing Gafuan's claim as technically flawed and politically misleading. The former finance minister added that as integrity institution, LACC and GAC were not subject to the same controls as over 100 entities under the central government. To further challenge the government's framing of salary adjustment as a reversal of harmonization, stressing that revising harmonization is fundamentally different from increasing wages. The former finance minister further noted that through reversal of harmonization required reinstating the dual compensation structure of basic salary and general allowance system. The reform abolished. Many citizens continue to lose their property through mass demolition taking place across several communities in Monserrato County. On Wednesday, several properties around the LPRC opposite base Zone 4 station were demolished, leaving dozens others homeless. One of the victims said prior to the demolition, they received no notice, noting that they were shocked to see homes being demolished. Since 2024, thousands of Liberians have lost their properties to government mass demolition exercise in different parts of Monserrato County. ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia, Josephine Crowman, has stressed the need for domestic mobilization for resources to fund the security system in the country. According to her, studies conducted have revealed that most of member states of ECOWAS are facing challenges in finding resources mobilization to fund their security institutions. The ECOWAS ambassador also encouraged the security institutions in the West African hub region, the sub-region, to engage in information sharing in the wake of increase in Islamic shell. She made the comment when she served as a panelist at the 69th Armed Forces Day Symposium organized by the Armed Forces of Liberia in collaboration with the Ministry of National Defense in Monrovia recently. The newly appointed executive director of the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission has vowed to conduct a baseline study on driver of the alarming influx of Burkinabe migrants in southern Liberia. Councillor Cole Bankalo said the Liberian government is committed in improving the situation of the remaining Ivorian refugees in Liberia, and LRRC will ensure that most of the problems affecting people will be resolved in accordance to durable solution consistent with international protection standards. He made the statement Wednesday during his official induction ceremony. For her part, the acting executive director of LRRC, Masa Kroman, congratulated Councillor Cole Bankalo for his preferment and assuring of her fullest cooperation at the LRRC. The turning over ceremony was graced by Minister Designate of the Ministry of Youth and Sport, Colinia Crow, and senior staff of the LRRC employee, among other representatives. The family of a 26-year-old woman, Rachel Cotto, who was allegedly murdered by her boyfriend in Seoul Clinic community on Wednesday, staged a peaceful protest in demand of justice. According to the deceased father, his daughter was killed by a man identified as Edwin Molu, who currently on the run. He said his daughter was murdered on January 26th at the Seoul Clinic residence, with no arrest being made so far. The late Cotto follows described the family's effort suffering as one of the deep sorrow and insecurity criticized, while he characterized as a lack of transparency in the ongoing investigation process. He called on the international partners to help in seeking justice for his late daughter. According to Rachel's father, since the death of Rachel, the Liberia National Police has failed to arrest the alleged murderer or inform the family about his whereabouts. Her Future Matters Africa, a local civil society group, is calling on Liberian parents and guardians to take greater responsibility in safeguarding their children for a better future. Speaking to reporters Wednesday, Gabriel Sa, executive director of the group, who also serves as president of the Bonn University Student Union, said many children are being negatively influenced by peers, a situation he warned could destroy their future. Sa explained that the Future Matters Africa is focused on empowering teenage girls and strengthening their capacity to become reasonable and productive citizens. He described the organization as a gateway to a brighter future for young girls across the country. He also called on all Liberians to invest in girls' education, stressing that educating a girl is a direct investment in nation building and sustainable development. And the National Food Assistance Program has released an update on its activities regarding intervention and assistance. According to NFAA, over 4,400 people in 38 institutions in 8 counties were impacted in 2025. The agency Director General Boyka Salif, during a press conference Wednesday, disclosed that its intervention and assistance reached to 13 orphanages, 6 central prison, 4 hospitals, 10 disability center, 1 safe home, and 4 old folks homes. Salif named Grand Bassa, Bombing, and Grand Cape counties at area where the organization carried out its intervention process. He further mentioned that the intervention reached 4,400 beneficiaries, comprising 2,824 males and 1,616 females, and the full community distribution under the intervention process.
Stephen Compton with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's Newsroom. A reminder you're listening to King's Newsroom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, in our one word. Stories we following tonight. Former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf questions government of Liberia over St. Paul to Waterside Road project. Request clearer information from Ministry of Public Works on contractual agreement. Tech Court of Monserrado County orders Liberia Electricity Corporation to pay US $415,000 to Airtel Network in contractual liability. And also in the news tonight, the Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustin Gafuan lied about reversing harmonization. Former Finance Minister Samuel Toure debunked Gafuan. The session says LACC, GSE, and others' salaries were never harmonized. Away from home, dozens of people have been killed by unidentified gunmen in Firukrio's attack on two villages in Nigeria's western state of Kara. Local lawmaker told the BBC. We'll take a break to be back with voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back and thanks for being there. Former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has raised serious concerns about the Boakai led government restarting several roads projects she said got started long ago. Speaking on ELBC Tuesday, the former president said about several roads projects, including the Lofa bombing and the overhead passes, was got started but were never taken forward. Ellen also requested the Minister of Public Works to explain why several roads projects were delayed and why
want us to be.